Find Freyja is not affiliated in any way with OkCupid or any other dating service. It is intended solely for critique and satire. If you find real wisdom or advice here, well, that's just a coincidence, baby. And now, it's time to get cozy.
I feel the skin that separates us start to fade, and when I lie on top of you.
Happy Freyja's Day. That's Friday if you know your etymology.
And welcome again to Find Freyja, the podcast that turns online dating into a role-playing game.
Or as I like to call it, turning OKC into an RPG.
That's terrible.
Yeah, I know. Like, people might think I'm talking about Oklahoma City, which I'm really not.
Who would think that?
People from Oklahoma City.
Okay, fine.
Anyway, I'm Mark.
And I'm Natasha.
And today we're gonna go straight into the questions, right?
Yeah, we haven't... I think last time we went into a message hole.
Yeah, and we've got 19 more of those today.
Which we'll get to, but let's actually do what we were supposed to do in the beginning.
Right, we set out to do something and we've been meandering
A little
already.
bit.
We get distracted easily.
We have issues.
Yes, we do.
So
we've got 19 new messages since the last time. We'll get to them. So we're going to get straight into questions here, and the first one is, rate your self-confidence.
Okay.
And that's very, very high, higher than average, average, or below average. What do you think Freyja's...
Rate your self-confidence. Is there an answer that's just like, what self-confidence?
Yeah, there's no, like, 0.
Yeah, there's like, I am literally a piece of shit.
Maybe you're not confident enough to answer.
I guess you would.
Wouldn't have that option.
So you wouldn't answer this question?
This is an interesting question, I think.
I think
because you have to be somewhat confident to even fill out a profile on this site.
Because
these answers are public.
It's not a very good question, because you'll have a lot of people being either really modest or just like, yep, I'm fucking awesome.
And also very, very high runs the risk of sounding egotistical.
That's what I was getting at with.
Right, yeah.
With very fucking awesome.
Well, maybe you are very fucking awesome.
Maybe I am.
I mean, if you objectively know that you're awesome, are you going to downplay it?
I
guess you could be humble about it.
I don't think we have a measure for awesomeness in research.
Suppose we do.
No.
Maybe there should be. There should be like a field of like awesomeology or something.
Awesome. No, stop. I'd say Freyja is just like whatevs.
I kind of feel like she might think she's higher than average.
Why? What's your rationale for that?
Because she knows she's pretty cool. She's chill.
But does she know, or is she just like, whatevs, man? Don't care. Haven't thought about it yet.
Well, it would be from her perspective, really. Her perception of how high her confidence is compared to other people.
I guess then higher than average would make sense.
Right. So she might see other people and say like, I don't know. I think I'm more confident than they are.
I guess.
Okay.
I don't really like this question.
No, neither do I. What answers will we accept?
Any. It doesn't matter.
Okay, so no explanation or anything like that.
Nah.
All right.
Next question.
Next. How important is money/wealth for you in a match? And the options are...
very important, somewhat important, or not important at all.
I feel like there's a wider spectrum than that.
I feel like wealth is not necessarily money, but obviously this question is talking about how much money do you need to have, or do you want someone to have in order to be with them? Which is a fair question.
I think it's fair to ask. I don't think it's fair to judge a partner on it, though, or judge a date even, really.
I wouldn't judge a date. I would judge a person if I knew them, but not necessarily like in a bad way. I just try to understand it more, of like, why do you have no money, or why do you have a lot of money? Like, did you get all your money from like gang wars, or or are you like broke because of some weird circumstantial stuff? Like,
And also this leads down the path of, whether you're happy with your earnings, whether you're or happy despite being poor, or because there are, plenty of people who are rich and miserable.
Well, that's why there's research stating that, like, in Western countries, if you make, like, somewhere around $70,000 a year, that's, like, the cap for happiness, and then after that, it's kind of, like, diminishing returns.
Because you're making just enough to be really comfortable, but not so much that you think you're above everyone else.
I don't think there's a rationale or, like, a solid theory behind why more money doesn't equal more happiness. Like, there's a lot of things you could correlate with that, but it is, like, you do need a certain amount of money to be comfortable in life.
And I'm sure there are exceptions. I mean, I'm sure there are billionaires who are very satisfied and very happy with their lives, and especially philanthropists. I mean, I can't speak for the man, but I assume Elon Musk has a certain level of happiness in his life.
I would actually caution against doing or making those assumptions. You really don't know with people.
That's true.
How they're feeling in life.
He does like helping the world, though.
Just because you like helping the world doesn't mean you're happy, though.
Right, maybe he's helping the world because he can't help himself.
Oh, God.
I'm sorry, Elon. I know you're listening.
Okay. Please give us money, because you have so much. You don't need it all.
Yeah. He's the sole funder of FreyjaCon.
No, stop. Okay, let's answer this question. I'd say it's not important at all to Freyja, given her free spiritness, and she will accept any answer.
Will she accept any answer?
She will accept any answer.
So she would date someone who finds money very important in a match? Yeah,
because she's literally, like, so chill, it doesn't matter.
Well, if she's so chill, it doesn't matter. I mean, we have to have some kind of standard here, because otherwise we're just going to say every answer is not important.
Well, we do have some standards. She really likes partying and drinking.
True, yeah.
So let's just.
She won't accept racists.
No,
bigots.
I just don't think this question is very interesting, to be honest. So
well, how much money do you think she makes? Like, what do you think she lives off of?
I think she doesn't.
You think she just?
I think she just couch surfers.
She's a nomad. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think she's probably pretty happy with that.
I think so too.
Okay, moving on. What is the most exciting thing about getting to know someone new?
Two answers.
Discovering your shared interests or discovering their body? There are so many more options they could be giving you for this.
What are some that we can think of? What's the most exciting thing? Knowing if they're a cat person or a dog person. That's pretty exciting. Or if they have cats or dogs. That's a really crucial
discovering what interests you don't share is one of them, I think. I like knowing, what people are into that I'm not, because differences are kind of what you can talk about. You don't always want to be in an echo chamber with somebody.
Some people do.
Some do, yeah. Usually when they want to hear themselves talk. Or just have someone validate everything they say.
But I think this question is really trying to separate if you were into a person intellectually or if you just want to fuck.
Yeah, I think discovering their body is it's a weird way of presenting sex, though, because there's so much more nuance to physical activity, like their sexual activity.
I agree, and yet I still like it better than just sex.
I think this question would be better phrased if it was, what is more exciting about getting to know someone new? Like, which one of these?
This is just a terrible
not
question.
What is the most exciting thing?
Well, this tells you nothing, because discovering your shared interests, okay, we all kind of want to do that. Discovering their body, kind of the point of a romantic relationship,
I feel
if
like
you're into that.
I feel like this might be one where we'd have to explain our answer. I think I might want to, like qualify it.
Okay, that's fair, but what one would you pick? Because I really wouldn't pick either of them.
I think she would be more interested in shared interests.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't say getting to know someone new romantically. It's just getting to know
somebody
anybody.
New, like a friend. Yeah, no, it's, I want your body.
What's the most exciting thing about getting to know a new friend? Discovering their body.
I mean,
Hey, you have some interesting ankle hair.
maybe if you're a serial killer, discovering their body is like the best
Or
thing
what
ever.
if it's discovering their body at like the bottom of a well or a flight of stairs or something? Okay, let's go for shared interest. Answers will accept any, yeah.
Explain.
How do we want to explain this?
Oh man, I would say something like,
I feel like there's so many more options for this, is kind of what I'd say.
yeah. What Mark is typing is, I feel like there should be more options than just interest and body in this question.
Okay, let's do it.
Next question. Which makes for a better relationship? 2 answers. Passion or dedication? This skips over so many things that you need for a good relationship.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, these sort of weird dichotomies. I think this is another user submitted one.
Are people actually thinking like this? This is my question. Who thinks that you either need passion or dedication, which I think probably means trust and faithfulness? So
It also kind of implies that if you pick one, you can't
pick the
pick
other.
the other.
Which is strange. It's like either you have like a boring relationship, but you know it's going to be there for you, or you're madly passionate in love and everything's up in the air.
I mean, it's great to keep passion, but I think in any relationship, passion is ebb and flow. You know, sometimes it diminishes, sometimes it's really intense. And dedication is really... It kind of implies that you'll be with someone no matter what, even if they do horrible things to you, which isn't healthy either.
No. This is just... I am trying to imagine the person who wrote this question, and I feel sorry for them, because they don't seem to have their shit together to know that you need so much more for a better relationship. Like, this pigeonholes you into a very limiting relationships. Like, if
yeah,
you
it's
just
very narrow channels here.
if you just choose passion, then it's almost like saying like nothing else matters. You just really want to get into the heat of things. But if you say dedication, that almost implies a long-term kind of relationship rather than spur of the moment.
Right.
Summer
So in
love.
that context, I feel like Freyja probably would say passion, because
Yeah.
she's more interested in kind of moving from place to place and person to person, meeting new people, and that's, you know, that's it, going with the flow.
I agree. Yeah. Just what a limiting way to see life.
Yeah, I think she'll accept any answer,
Yeah.
but I think,
Can we just say what a limiting way to see life?
yeah,
Because why would you do this to yourself?
I'm gonna write, what a limiting way to see life. There are so many more...
Facets of a relationship to consider. And it really gets at the idea that you have to build a relationship, and the foundation of a relationship will vary between like couple to couple, or, you know, polyamorous relationship, what have you. But there are some very key facets that define a healthy relationship. And
this glosses over
so many of them, yeah.
Okay,
Let's
so
move
let's
on.
move on. Do you enjoy intense intellectual conversations? Yes or no?
Nah, bruh.
Nah, bruh.
Sure.
Yeah, and I don't really feel like there's a whole lot of nuance to discussing this one, because you either do or you don't, I guess.
Although, who doesn't?
Lots of people.
Really?
A scary amount.
I am so like siloed in my academic environment that I have a hard time imagining people who don't like having deep intellectual conversations.
I also think there's a third group, which is stoners who think they're having intense intellectual conversations. Because I remember, I think I was probably
Story time.
like in my late 20s, and I was at a friend's house who was a few years younger, and her roommate was like 20, and she had all these friends over who were like 19 and 20, and they were all smoking weed, and one of them just says something like, man, do you ever think about like what's out there? And this is the kind of question that kind of tipped me off that I was getting older, because That's a question nowadays that I would much rather have sober. and questions that I, long since moved past. Like I was immediately kind of like, yeah, I remember being like that. Sort of like, oh, man, I just want to chill. I don't want to talk about that shit. The time has passed for me. I've done all the speculation I care to, in an inebriated state.
You see, the beauty of being 24 and finishing your master's degree is that you also finish these questions, but you get into really more advanced questions that you need to answer sober.
Right. And you have the wisdom,
the
and
knowledge base,
academic intelligence to not need a bong to help you
to solve
parse
those
this
problems.
out.
Yeah, I mean, some people have their revelations with a handful of drugs, but not I.
So answers you'll accept any?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Hold
okay.
on. Oh, we got a bubble.
Hold on there. Marking lots of questions as irrelevant doesn't help us find your potential matches. For better match results, be choosier.
Maybe let's just say yes.
And then the button says okay.
Okay.
Like you have no other choice. It's okay.
Oh, so we have to choose something.
We don't know. We don't have to, but
Okay.
it's just warning us.
Oh. Well,
But it came off as kind of scolding.
it did. I mean, fair point.
But also, like, these questions are crap.
They are crap. These are shitty questions to base a dating site on. So let's go on to the next one.
Okay. Would you prefer good things happened or interesting things?
They can be both. It can be good and interesting.
Yeah, it implies that if interesting things happen to you, they're not good, inherently.
Yeah. Or if they're good, they can't be interesting.
Like, I feel like I want to answer good and say interesting things already happened to me.
I would say interesting, actually, because then you can have multiple connotations to that word.
I'll agree with that. And I think she would accept either,
Yeah.
just because I don't like these dichotomy questions.
Yeah.
So I'm rating false dichotomies suck. Because they do.
They do.
In a certain light, wouldn't nuclear war be exciting?
Oh, it absolutely
Yes, it would, or
be.
no, it wouldn't.
Oh, God, yes. I absolutely agree. I've always wanted to be part of the apocalypse.
But I mean, talking about, would we really be one of, the surviving people, or this is a world we're talking about where, only the strong survive.
Fuck yeah, I've run a marathon. I do spin and yoga. I would survive. I'd be fucking furiosa.
I feel like I would die horribly and fast.
I agree, and I'd move on.
Also, we live in... Hey. Also, we live in a major city, so it would be kind of difficult. But, on the other hand, we can drive up into the mountains pretty easily.
I have a plan.
Okay. Do you have a nuclear fallout shelter that I don't know
Maybe.
about? Okay.
We can talk about that later.
This would also be our chance to move up into the hot springs.
Yeah,
A lot of geothermal
we've
activity
always
up there.
talked about wanting to become hermits in the woods.
And build a cabin on some hot springs so we have water and warmth.
Exactly. So I would say Freyja would find... Actually, maybe she wouldn't. She probably doesn't want to deal with that.
No, she's a bit of a peacenik, I think.
Yeah, so let's say no, it wouldn't. And maybe we'll be decisive on this one and also say no, it wouldn't. And say that's somewhat important.
Somewhat important, yeah.
Yeah.
And do we want to explain that answer?
I think that's pretty self-explanatory.
I feel like... I don't know, I feel like I do want to explain this because I think it says in a certain light, but if you're actually living through nuclear war, it's going to be horrifying no matter what.
That's such a...
You're not going to be able to keep it together.
Isn't that a pun? In a certain light? No,
I
nuclear
guess.
war is when the bomb drops, it lights up.
I
What
guess.
It's a bad one, but
That's a reach.
Yeah, it is a reach.
So I'm reading, as much as we fantasize, the reality would be horrifying.
Next.
Do you like scary movies?
We do.
This is not an advertisement for Scream, by the way.
Oh, yeah!
The iconic line.
Yeah, right? I haven't seen that in so long.
Yes, we do. We love them.
I would say Freyja doesn't.
She doesn't?
No. It's not peaceful at all.
But she would know that it's just a movie.
Would she?
Maybe she likes psychological horror.
I don't see her liking psychological horror. And I also don't like this question, so let's just say any of the above and move on to more exciting questions.
Yeah, but what do you think the value of scary movies are in society?
It could be getting at like thrill seeking, because a lot of times if you say, "Oh, I watch horror movies," people will be like, "Oh, you really need high stimulation in your life." When it's like, "Oh no, I really just like seeing people murdered on screen. It relaxes me after hard days
You're the
of
one
work."
who roots for the killer, aren't you?
You know me.
Yeah, I do. All too well. She's horrible. Help. Would you consider yourself a feminist? Oh, yeah.
Yes, no.
Yes, no, or to some extent.
Fuck yes.
She's definitely
Definitely
absolutely.
Feminist.
And
Needs a feminist.
needs a feminist.
That is
and to some extent, I think, is also a good answer.
Very
important.
Very important.
And might as well play our cards here.
What?
We are too.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that a little?
About why we're feminists? Because we believe in equity and equality. Do you need to go into detail about that? Like,
I just feel like there's such
prejudice.
there's such a backlash these days, and I don't understand why. I mean,
It's because there are different types of feminism, and the internet
Yeah.
portrays feminism in a way that it's not feminism. Like, feminism has a rich academic history that is much different than what you would see online. And I think a lot of people look at feminism online and really that's what they're backlashing against.
right, because there's a culture of the offended now, and I think that gets muddled because it's really whatever pet cause they want to latch onto, and sometimes unfortunately that's feminism, sometimes unfortunately that's, MRAs, sometimes it's Trump or whatever. And unfortunately that bleeds into other subcultures. But as far as considering myself a feminist, yeah, I think men and women should be equal, and that should be the extent of the argument, really.
Yeah, and it's really even more than just men and women. It's just like everyone should have the same opportunities.
Right, and I extend this to race, gender, sexual preference.
It's actually, there's an interesting academic tradition here. So there's this thing called critical theory, and feminism is very related to it. So this is the idea that we need to understand oppressed people and help them out and empower them so that they are no longer oppressed and have more equities in life. So feminism comes out of this tradition, or I wouldn't say it comes out of this tradition, it more came alongside of it. And so there are feminist researchers who take a particular stance in how they conduct their research. So it would be, it can be a matter of variety of questions you could ask as a researcher, and you would come at those questions from a feminist viewpoint. So it's really about undermining oppression at its very core, and not necessarily a battle between men and women. In research, it has a different connotation to it, if you will. It's a very complicated theory to outline in like a podcast, but
No, we could do an entire podcast on gender studies, but I don't think either of us is equipped to do that, really.
I actually am equipped to do that because I've studied this. But there's a lot of knowledge that you have to know before you start delving into these theories, and you have to understand how research is made and how even knowledge is created in life. Like, we would have to have a discussion about epistemology and ontology, which are words that probably don't make sense to most people who would listen to this. So it's a complicated conversation.
Right, and also I think a lot of the people online who see the word feminism and say, oh, well, what about men? Well, feminism is that.
It incorporates
it. It incorporates it. It's not man-hating. It's not any kind of like, I'm offended by men. I think men should be held down. I don't think men should be equal. It's equality. It's just that historically and contextually, there are many ways that oppression against women has been institutionalized and systematic. And, well, that's still a factor, then, yeah, we need the term feminism.
Yeah. That's simplistically, that's how you can explain it. So I don't want to spend this entire thing talking about feminism, so let's leave it at that. Freyja's definitely a feminist and wants a feminist or someone leaning towards feminism.
Right. Okay.
Next question. I'm so happy we got this. Are you a cat person or a dog person?
You just mentioned that,
I
too.
know.
Cats, dogs, both or neither.
I would say both.
Yeah, she loves all animals.
Why would you pick neither? I'm sorry, but I don't understand people who don't like
and that's
dogs
a little
and cats.
important, I would say.
Yeah, a little important.
Not hugely, but
just on the basis of animal therapy, how can you not?
I mean, I can understand if you were allergic. You wouldn't.
Well, you're slightly
but you
allergic.
still might like them.
Yeah, you're slightly allergic.
Very slightly, though. It's usually around new animals. Once I get used to them, I'm fine. I am a bit partial to cats because I grew up with cats.
Either one is fine with me. I grew up with both.
I tend to enjoy cats because they're less codependent.
Yeah, dogs do require a lot of
like you can't go away
effort.
for a week and think like, oh, my cat will be fine. You know.
Yeah.
This got his cat door and his huge food dispenser, but dogs, no, you can't leave them alone.
Not a complex question, so let's move on.
Do spelling mistakes annoy you?
Yes. I
know that they annoy
Nazi
you. Yes, we've
so
established
much.
that.
I cannot handle spelling mistakes.
Do you judge people who make them, though?
Absolutely.
Are you the person who, when someone spells something Y-O-U-R, you reply asterisk Y-O-U apostrophe?
No, I'm not that intense,
Okay.
but I will hold it against them, like, spiritually inside of me.
As a person who writes for a living and depends entirely upon words, my own spelling mistakes annoy me. If I find a typo in my own work, I do all I can to replace that or fix it in some way. It doesn't particularly annoy me when other people do it because I know that, you know, everyone's got different levels of education in literature and writing and English.
I know, and I should be more understanding because I literally study educational psychology, which deals with stuff like this, but I'm still so judgmental. Whatevs. Haters gonna hate.
But I don't think Freyja is. In fact, I think she might even be one of those people who might not know the your thing.
I think that's accurate.
Yeah.
So
we're
no,
gonna say no.
And any.
I don't think she would like
Someone
people who are super
judgmental.
Yeah.
She wouldn't like me.
So, and I want to say a little on
Okay,
this.
that's fine.
I don't think it's a huge deal for her. She's cool.
I'll accept that.
Have you ever traveled around another country alone? Oh, yeah, she has.
Mm-hmm.
She's traveled the world alone, I think.
I think so as well.
And as for us...
I have.
Yep. I haven't been in a lot of places outside North America, but I have done road trips pretty much everywhere across the United States and a few places into Canada. I've done a 2-week camping road trip in the interior of British Columbia, which is gorgeous if you ever get the chance. And I have a story about Utah that I'm actually going to post on our faculty site, I think. I haven't been overseas yet, unfortunately. You have, though.
I have. I spent 5 months in Iceland. I have all sorts of stories to tell about that at a later time. Mm-hmm. But it was a really mixed experience. You know, there's a lot of culture shock from not just visiting, like I was living there and paying rent and stuff, so it was kind of the full experience, like, you know, doing grocery shopping and in a different language that's very complex and difficult to learn. It was
Though on the bright side, everyone there speaks English.
yeah,
right?
I mean, that's true, but at the same time, I always feel like you should at least try to understand the languages of the places you're visiting.
Right, and you had relatively little time to pick any of that up because you kind of didn't get the option to where you wanted to go until fairly shortly before you actually went, right?
Yeah, no, that's true. Like, the way my university schedules it only gives you a few months to really get your shit together and, like, get your visa and all the information you need for that. And, like, where the fuck do you learn Icelandic is the other thing. Weirdly enough, there was Icelandic courses, like, very basic, that was near where we live and still exists, but it didn't teach you much. I took Icelandic when I was in Iceland, which made things a little bit easier, but it's still a very complex language, hard to pronounce in some ways. So yeah, it was an experience for sure.
And just because I want to hear you say it again, what was the name of that really long mountain?
Freyja Jökull.
Okay.
I'm probably saying it slightly incorrect too. But it's better than most people can do, I think. Fun fact: if you go into any shop in Iceland, you'll be greeted with "Góðan daginn." That is good day.
And I think just as part of our little backstory here, you want to say Freyja was born in Iceland but didn't grow up there?
Sure.
Okay. Because I feel like that makes sense with her character.
I concur.
So yes, she's traveled around another country alone, and I feel like she's done it a lot.
Yeah.
And she'll accept any answer for that.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter. She's cool.
She's cool.
She's cool. She's chill. All right, moving on. Do you often find yourself worrying about things that you have no control over?
I don't see Freyja doing this.
No, I think she goes with the flow and she can kind of find her way through any situation.
Yeah.
And she's, I mean, like if we're rolling an RPG character on her character sheet, she has those talents that are like can survive in very dire situations and has talents that let her get by. Like she can conjure water and food.
May help people in panic attacks.
Right. But yeah, this is really...
This is a mental health question.
Yeah, it is. And it's a way of really saying, do you have anxiety?
Or depression.
Mm-hmm.
But to be nice about it, I mean, it's totally fine if you worry to that extent, as long as you're getting help for it. If it's really, like, out of control and you're just finding yourself so stressed out by it.
Right. And... what's interesting about this is I think this is literally word for word a question I had to answer when I took a test when I was being screened for anxiety and depression by my doctor.
There's various measures and surveys you take when they're screening for depression and anxiety, and this is something that always comes up, but it's always worded differently depending on which one you take.
But also, it wasn't just a yes or no like this one is. It was, a little, a lot, and a spectrum in between.
They're scales, and they're called Likert scales for all you nerds out there.
Yeah, I learned something
know.
today.
Those Likert scales are the ones that are like agree, strongly agree, neutral, disagree, strongly. Those kinds of things that you've seen many times in your life, probably. So answers we'll accept. I'd say any.
I would kind of explain this with
we don't judge you based on your mental health. And really, I think that's just our personal views, because I think it's just a shitty thing to do. Maybe just it'll be one of these times where we have to live through Freyja and impart our views onto her.
Because she really is both of us.
In a way, yes.
In every conceivable way, but
yeah.
I mean, there are ways where, we're not the character we portray.
Yeah.
I'm also, not my elf sniper from Shadowrun.
I'm also not my orc tank in Elder Scrolls Online as much as I'd like to be.
Okay.
Next question. Which of the following types of intelligence do you most value? Logical/mathematical, social/interpersonal, and visual/artistic. Visual artistic is not a type of intelligence?
No.
No,
I
it's
think,
not.
I think what it probably means more is creative.
Which is not technically an intelligence, I don't think. It really depends how you define intelligence, which is a really vague term in research and has a really awful history based in eugenics, which for those of you who don't know is basically like wanting to, it's basically racism, wanting to like weed out the weak, kind of like how Hitler did. And so intelligence has a really murky background.
And also there was huge oppression of African Americans based on weird things like skull shape and size, and a lot of doctors in days of yore.
The dark history of medicine was not long ago.
Right.
Let's just say that. As far as this
scarily recent.
Very recent. Even still today, there are very dark things about medicine. So getting back to this question, I mean, everyone comes with varying levels of these kinds of traits. I see Freyja leaning towards the social and interpersonal.
I feel like she's probably more artistic, but just as far as what she'd answer,
I'd still say social, because she's a kind
right,
of a
because she
social
has to.
butterfly.
She kind of thrives off of that.
Yeah,
Because she wouldn't be able to couch surf or move from place to place. She wouldn't be able to be such a nomad without that. Yeah. And she's a bit of a party girl, I think.
Yeah, and what's really missing from this, too, is emotional intelligence. Very important.
Yeah.
Topically extremely important.
Right, yeah.
Answers you'll accept. I'd say any of the above. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah. And do we want to explain this at all?
Intelligence is far more complicated than this question makes it. Also, this question answers are not based on what intelligence means.
Would she know that, though?
No, of course not. No, I forget what education level we gave her, but it definitely wasn't.
She dropped out of college, I believe.
Oh, then she definitely wouldn't.
She's a college.
No.
She dropped out of undergrad.
No, this is a graduate level argument for sure.
But I think the answer, intelligence is far more complex than these answers, is
good enough.
Yeah, because I think she's smart.
Yeah.
I don't have high education, but you wouldn't say I'm dumb.
No.
So let's move on.
Next question.
And
what's your relationship with marijuana? They actually asked a question like this earlier that we answered.
Well, that was the Nabra question.
Yeah.
So I think we're probably going to get some repeats. We've talked about marijuana already in this episode, so I think we should just address what this question's like from Freyja's perspective. I smoke regularly. I smoke occasionally. I smoked in the past, but no longer, and never. And do you think she smokes regularly or occasionally?
I'd say occasionally, because she definitely drinks regularly.
Right.
And often people do that at the same time, and they shouldn't, because what we did say and what I mentioned in the previous episode is that is bad for your brain. And very...
But that was the question of just smoking, as in, tobacco, I think.
But still, I mean, in today's context, usually means both things. It's really dangerous for your central nervous system, so please do not do it.
What answers will she accept?
Any.
Maybe not never.
Okay,
do you think?
That's fine.
And I think it's probably because she would think that somebody who never smokes it is a bit of a prude.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not open to new possibilities.
Live a little, man. Okay, and then the last one we'll do today. What's your deal with harder drugs? Stuff beyond pot. I do drugs regularly. I do drugs occasionally. I've done drugs in the past. So the same answers.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's no coincidence they put these back to back.
But harder drugs is such a spectrum too. Because it's like, are we talking LSD or are
Right.
we talking
And
heroin?
we talked about this, I think, in our original 15 questions. We
went over this already.
Yeah, so, but this one specifies stuff beyond pot. And I like how it's beyond pot.
The not gateway drug,
Right.
by the way.
Not at all.
No.
I think the reason that it has that connotation is because it's probably the most accessible drug, and someone who's predisposed to being the type of personality who does drugs socially is probably gonna get that first. The only way that it's a gateway is that it's easier to obtain. Like, you're probably not gonna be like, hey, give me some of that crack.
I don't know, anecdotally speaking, I know people who don't like smoking pot, but cocaine's fine.
Right, I'm talking about a perspective from, which they've tried first or which they had access to first.
Right.
I think generally it's probably marijuana.
Probably.
But that doesn't make it a gateway drug in the sense that, doing this will make you do these other drugs.
But again, I think it really depends. Just as an example, like if you're a teenager and you get recruited into a gang, you might be exposed to harder drugs more than something like pot. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what is her stance on this?
I'd say she maybe occasionally, maybe
Maybe
like
she
the occasional DMT to open her mind and her spirit.
She does E at Burning Man. Let's leave it
For
at that.
that. Yeah.
And she totally goes to Burning Man.
Yeah.
She's one of those people. And I think she'll accept any answer for this, even the never one.
Yeah.
Because that's totally understandable.
Yeah.
I think from her perspective. Okay, so that's the answers we're going to do today.
Now on to our messages.
Yeah.
19 new messages.
Yeah. So we've got...
Hello, Freyja. You're quite the hat.
You've quite the hat.
Oh, you've quite the hat. Surely your outfit is as awesome-tatious. See my love of portmanteau.
That's not a portmanteau, actually.
As for your amulet, I might have the other half, but I need to see it if it fits first.
What does that imply?
That's kind of sexual, isn't it?
I kind of feel like people are taking that in a sexual manner, so we might want to change that on the profile.
Yeah, no, we talked about that earlier too, of changing that.
Do you want to do that now?
No, let's answer these messages first. We can do it after. So moving on. Wow, you are gorgeous. Would love to get to know you better. Hope you message me back so we can chat. Promise not to disappoint you.
Can you really promise you won't disappoint someone?
Nah.
That's like those responses we got saying, I'm witty or I'm funny, things like that.
The self-aggrandizing things.
Right, and he promises not to disappoint.
Because that, do I get a warranty with that?
Also, all of his U's are the letter U.
And the comma has its own little space in the sentence.
Yeah, speaking of grammar Nazis. I mean, I don't really judge that in little chat conversations, but here I think, you got to put your best foot forward if you want to date someone.
Effort into it. Hi there.
Hi there.
Goodbye.
Delete it.
Delete it.
Okay, so here's a response from the guy that we talked about who had the awesome opener.
Oh, yeah. The movie question guy. No, the TV show for a whole week.
Right, yeah. We said, depends, am I main cast or a red shirt? He says, LMAO at red shirt. I guess you can be a member of the cast. I will definitely allow that, but just this once.
What does that imply?
Maybe he's the showrunner.
What if we get a job out of this?
What show are you running?
Should we respond to this?
I don't think yet. I mean, we can always do
leave
that
it
later. But we did actually come up with an answer in the past week. Since
we
the
did,
show. And that is
our answer is Doctor Who as the companion because you're guaranteed to be safe.
Yeah,
the Doctor will never leave you behind,
and you'll be able to have all kinds of crazy adventures at the risk of your own life. But
it always turns out okay.
Safe.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know that he's had any past companions, like any iteration of the Doctor has had any companions where they've died or ended horribly.
I don't think ended horribly. I feel like there is one that might have died.
There have to be some that
From
ended
like
badly.
the old series.
Right.
I think there was one woman in particular who came back and things didn't turn out too well. But I don't remember.
It wasn't Sarah Jane.
Oh, I really don't remember. Yeah. Someone let us know.
She got her own spin-off.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so this has spin-off potential.
Yeah, no, it's really like, that is our answer.
It's really the perfect answer.
Yeah.
And I think we'll probably send that to him sometime this week. Hi, I'm blank. How are you?
Next.
Nope.
Hey there. We don't even need to open that.
Hey there. Nope.
This one.
The username is a very overt sexual reference.
Message is, you're really pretty, LOL.
XD.
Funny face. I'd really like to get to know you, winky smiley face. That's not substancy enough.
No substance. Hey, awesome pick. Do you like to meet each other?
Like myself? Like, do I like to meet myself? Totally. Or like, does he mean do you like to meet your hat? Do I like to meet my hat?
By the way, this person has an awesome cosplay pick.
Oh, they do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we say?
I don't think we should say what it is, but
it's really good.
It's
like
super
superb.
cool.
Yeah, it's Tim Burton.
Yeah, it's a Tim Burton thing, and yeah, very cool.
Yeah, really good.
Props to you.
But your message, not so much.
Doesn't really grab. We've got one that's cute hat.
Trash. Hi, how is your evening going? Trash. How are you tonight, beautiful? Trash. I'm also a free spirit as well. My name is blank. Nah, trash. Hey, wanna play? Trash. Hi, what good? What good?
What good is what?
What good is what? What is good?
War.
What good?
Good God. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Delete it.
How are you? Delete. Hey. Delete.
I will say that I'm glad that we are getting men and women.
Yes. Variety is good. Ooh, a long message. I might have the missing half, referring to the amulet. I was recently at an Indiana Jones fan fiction slam poetry night.
Wait. Indiana Jones fan fiction slam poetry night? It gets better. I want that.
It gets better. At my local meat shop, and ran into someone who had a few of the items used to represent the Holy Grail throughout the filming of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. One in particular caught eye as perhaps the missing half of an ancient golden amulet. Thanks to my sweet slam poetry haiku, I was given the amulet as a gift. Might be magical, but fuck, I don't know. Holy shit, this is wonderful.
That's a fun answer.
That is great.
I think you're making it up, but it's fun.
That's how you start a conversation.
Yeah.
Props to this person.
Yeah. That might warrant a response.
I think it does warrant a response. Maybe we should write haikus for this one as a response.
Something about being trapped in a fridge.
Can we look at this profile for a second? I'm curious.
Sure.
Oh, it's a couple.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, spicing things up to add another lady or another couple.
But no single men.
Cool.
Interesting. Yeah, I think that might warrant
the
a response.
Yeah.
Do we want to do these responses in between episodes, or do we want to do them live?
We can do them live.
Fuck it, do it live.
At a different point. Loving the hat, what's up?
LOL, what's up?
Trash. Hey, how's it going? Trash.
We've got a new one in the meantime.
How did you come to speak Russian? Ooh, we can make an elaborate story about this one.
Do we want to do this now, or do we want to do it in the next one?
Next one.
Okay.
We can make a next one with explaining... Or doing a
little bit of message answering.
Yeah.
And then maybe we can get up to 50.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
All right, so we're going to get into our top 3 matches of the week. This time we've got 2 men and 1 woman. First, we've got an artistic drummer.
Can you be a drummer without being artistic? Just saying.
I'm a Casio. I do what I'm programmed to do.
Living it, I plan to pay off my debts and start traveling to see the world. I think Freyja would be down with this guy. He's really good at sleeping.
Oh, good. That's what you want.
Some
That's
people
really what you
aren't.
want.
Some people are not good at sleeping.
Yeah, and he's a straight man looking for women. He's an 89% match.
Really good at rock climbing. That can come in handy if you're ever on a mountain.
We want hikers. Freyja is a hiker.
I guess so.
One of his top bands is Korn, so I think that's a deal breaker.
Okay, wait. This is
And Limp Bizkit. Oh God.
This is a strange.
He likes Limp Bizkit.
And
That's a definite hard pass.
What else is on that? That's a really weird list of.
He's got a very eclectic list of musical tastes.
I do not like country music, except a select few old school country songs. So basically Johnny Cash.
Maybe some Patsy Cline in there.
Likes pizza.
Maybe he's just really into Wayne Newton.
Why?
Okay, so another 89% match is a straight man in an open relationship. His self-summary says he's creative to a fault, but that's it. So evidently not.
Maybe he means creative to a fault, like the fault line. And so he's creative until he dies and falls in the fault.
Well, if he was creative, maybe he'd elaborate on that so we don't have to.
6 things I could never do without. The ability to breathe. That's very true. Gravity, we could arrange different. Well, but no gravity.
He could live on the ISS.
Yeah.
I don't see why
You
not.
don't have to be in gravity.
Third is a 20-year-old woman. She is a straight woman looking for single people.
Wait, it's just
Yeah.
single people, but not.
She's got only 2 sentences in her profile, so but that's an 88% match. Yeah, there's really nothing to say about her. So nobody has unseated our queer
one.
woman
Yeah.
from the first week. Yeah.
Queer queen.
Yeah. Who's this?
We gravitate always towards the alternative looking folk. Oh yeah, we got a goth or a metalhead. Definitely a goth.
Wants to
Tattoo
be a
artist.
tattoo artist. Look at these musical tastes, though.
Really,
There's
like,
quite a spectrum there.
So we have Cannibal Corpse, Blink 182,
The Ramones,
the Yeah Yeah
The
Yeahs,
Clash,
Jethro Tull,
Amon Amarth.
Sex Pistols, Green Day, obviously, Paramore. This is a really strange, all over
She
the
likes
place.
a lot of metal and punk, though.
There are some things on that list I'm not okay with. Like, if she's obviously into Green Day, I don't know I would be able to be around that for a long period of
She
time.
likes pretty good TV. Movie tastes are pretty interesting. I spend a lot of time thinking about how much I love guys who have a big, long, thick profile. I like her style, though.
I kind of want that,
No, she says this was
Deathhawk.
a long time ago, so she's been in this fashion for a while.
long time ago, and she's not that old. She's younger than I am.
Anyway, that's out of the top 3. She's a bisexual woman. Does she meet with your approval?
No.
No. So nitpicky. You'd never survive on this site.
I didn't have to.
Yeah, but you wouldn't if you had to.
It's a moot argument because I never had to go online dating.
Well, I didn't have to go online dating either. Like, don't put me in a position where it's like, oh, you pathetic piece of shit. You had to resort to the internet for finding dates.
I'm just saying.
What are you saying?
I regret
Come on,
walking down this
the
path.
stigma of online dating is not a thing
No,
anymore.
I understand. Like some people need to find each other because they don't live on the same continent. That's fine. I have nothing against online
Right, and
dating.
it's hard to meet people. Like, I used it mostly for friends, and if something else came out of that, fine. But when I was using it, it was a means of just meeting people because it's tough to meet people in our city.
It is, but I still haven't had a problem with that. So maybe I just have a really interesting method.
Well, by nature, both of us are in fields where you interact with lots of people who are also in your field. So it's not necessarily an issue with us, but I find that a lot of people here are hard to get close to and hang out with regularly.
Aren't there apps for that, though, specifically for friendship? Like,
Oh.
if there's one for cuddling, there's one for friendship.
You can set on OkCupid that you just want friends.
Okay, that's fine. But, like...
Yeah, so I don't want to hear any stigma from you.
I'm not shaming, I'm just saying, I got game. That's all I'm saying.
No, you're a student. You're around people all the time. You never
I never
had to resort to this lowly state.
Are you saying that because you're just protecting yourself? Is this like a defense mechanism?
No, I just don't think there's anything wrong with it.
I'm fucking with you. It's okay.
Oh, sure. It's all a prank, bro.
This bit was a mistake.
This whole podcast was a mistake. Let's shut it down. The final episode.
It's the final episode is like where we split up because we just can't stand each other's shit anymore.
Shit brought on by this podcast. Oh god, what if this was the cause of our downfall?
Oh. Well, if it is, then we predicted that far in advance. So at the end, the logical conclusion to this would be like, wow, we actually did see this coming. So how did we not see this coming?
The signs were there.
And recorded as evidence.
Help. She's terrible. So we'd like to thank our listeners for following the show. You can find us at our website, faculty.ca. That's fakvlty.ca, which has links to our shows on archive.org, iTunes, and YouTube, and other content we've written and recorded.
You can spread the word with the hashtag #FindFreyja. That is FINEFREYJA. Or you can support us by leaving a review on iTunes.
I'd also like to thank James R. Bayless for lending us his voice at the top of the show. You can reach his voice agent Gemma Crow at gemma@turnerfilmgroup.com, and that's GEMMA. And this has been Find Freyja. I'm Mark.
And I'm Natasha.
As always,
Love someone with your genitals.